everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts, and today I'll be showing you the last 5 cards that I created with the Simon Says Stamp August 2019 card kit. So for card 6, I'm going to take a few of the pattern papers that came in the kit and I'm going to cut out small rectangles out of them. And I'm actually trying to create my own 3-tiered cake without using a die because I don't have a die. So I figured I could create my own just using the pattern papers that came in the kit and my trimmer. And all I did was I cut each layer to be slightly wider than the one above it. I didn't do any measuring. I just used my black marker to help me eyeball how tall and how wide I wanted each layer to be. And here you can kind of see that it's starting to look like a 3-tiered cake, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to add a decorative touch to the cake with my Martha Stewart punch that I had in my stash. You could use a border die or any punches you have in your stash to create a similar look. And I'm just going to cut 3 rows out of some black cardstock. And then I'm going to take each of those rows and adhere them to each layer of my cake. I also decided to round the top corners of each layer just so that it looked more like a rounded cake. And I think that this border really gives the cake a really cute touch. And I was so happy that I was able to create my own cake without using a die. And I thought that little sitting panda would be perfect to put on top of the cake. I saw a few people put the panda on top of the presents that came in the stamp set, and I thought that was such a cute idea. So I wanted to try to come up with a similar idea, and I thought the cake was really cute. So now I'm taking that teal card base that I created with the 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock that came in the kit, just to see how tall I need this cake to be, because I didn't want my panda to be overhanging at the top of the card base. So I will have to trim that bottom layer down a little bit so that everything fits nicely on the card. So I am using my art glitter glue to attach each of the layers of cake, and that will pretty much finish it, but I thought that the cake was missing something. So I'm going to take my Nuvo drops, and I actually chose rainbow colors. I think I chose green, blue, orange, pink, and purple. And I'm just going to add little dots all over the cake using these colors. And if I were to do this again, I would wait to do my Nuvo drops till the very end. I was obviously very eager to see what this would look like. So I just had to be careful when I adhered this cake to my card base. I am tapping my cake on my glass mat to make sure that the Nuvo drops dry flat. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. And I think that it just added a super cute touch to the cake, and it didn't take much time at all. And I thought that the little holes on my border punch were really cute, so I added some Nuvo drops to the bottom layer of that border just to further accent the border punch a little bit more. So I did that with the purple layer and the orange layer at the top of the cake. And then I also added some blue Nuvo drops to the top of each of the borders on the border punch. And here for this middle tier, I chose pink. And that will pretty much complete the Nuvo drops. So now I can start building my card. So I took a 3-inch wide white strip. This is actually 5.5 inches tall. And I'm going to adhere my cake onto it with my art glitter glue. And I'm actually going to remove my panda because I wanted to pop him up with some foam tape. Okay, once everything is adhered, I wanted to further accent this white panel with a few scraps of black strips that I had. I'm just going to add those to the left and right side of this panel, similar to what I did in card 1. And then I also wanted to add that same rainbow paper that I have in the middle tier of the cake, just to add some more color. So I added those right beside my black strips. And then I'm going to use that teal card base which I created with one of the 8.5 by 11 sheets that came in the kit. And I thought about using those balloons, but I thought that they distracted from the cake. So instead, I'm actually going to add Nuvo drops. But first, I'm going to adhere this panel onto my card base using my art glitter glue. I would normally use tape, but like I said, those Nuvo drops were still wet and I didn't want to squish them. So here I'm now adding a few Nuvo drops around my panda. His hand looked like he was like throwing confetti in the air, so I thought that the Nuvo drops resembled confetti, and I think that it's super cute, and I love how this turned out. So I'm using the same Nuvo drops that I used on the cake to add a few above the panda. And then it was at this point that I realized I didn't have a sentiment, which you could honestly just stamp one inside, but I thought it would be really cute to have my sentiment on the bottom tier of the cake. And luckily, I didn't squish the purple and green Nuvo drops on the bottom tier of the cake because my stamp block was slightly higher than my drops were. So that was a lucky coincidence. And I don't know how, but I did not smush any of the Nuvo drops during this entire card making process. So here's a close-up of card 6, and I thought that that turned out super cute. Okay, card 7 is one of my favorites. So I'm going to take this rectangle that I cut from some of the pattern paper that came in the kit, and I'm going to draw some lines onto it using a Zig fine liner and a ruler. I'm using the ruler to help me create evenly spaced straight lines. So I just drew some horizontal lines, and now I'm going to flip this panel 90 degrees and create some vertical lines. And I'm actually trying to create a calendar. So I'm creating the grid for where I would put my calendar numbers inside each of those squares. And I wanted to use that little crying panda, so I'm going to place him off to the right to see what that would look like. And now I'm going to stamp out the birth month. And I chose October because this is the month my husband was born in. And I will white heat emboss that onto some black cardstock. So I'll let you guys watch what I'm doing, and I'll explain the meaning behind this card because it's kind of a cute story. So my husband and I got married pretty quick upon meeting, and he's in the Air Force, so he lives in a different state than I do. So we never really celebrated our birthdays together. And even after getting married, I did not know his birthday. I knew it was sometime in October, and I knew it was somewhere in the 20s, but I wasn't completely sure. So sure enough, a few weeks later, I had to be put on his insurance. So when they added me, they asked me when my husband's birthday was, and I was too embarrassed to admit that I did not know my own husband's birthday. So I confidently said October 25th, and I went and did my appointment, and I left. And sure enough, about 2 or 3 months later, I got a huge bill in the mail saying that my insurance was rejected, and I'm pretty sure it was rejected because of the birthday, because after I gave them the right birthday, my insurance was approved. So it's kind of an inside joke between me and him now. He knows exactly the story that I'm telling now. And so I'm going to be giving this card to him, and I will give it to him on October 20th. But on the inside, I'm going to stamp, "I'm sorry I forgot your birthday," and then in parentheses, I'll write, "for the first few months we were married." It's just kind of really cute. That's the story behind this card. What I did here is I placed another pattern paper square on his birthday, October 20th, just so that number would stand out. And then for the rest of the numbers, I'm going to glue them onto the orange panel. And I did use a number die from my stash. I will link it in my coordinating blog post. And this card took a long time, but I think it's worth it, especially given the inside joke behind it. And so now I did fussy cut that October, and I'm just going to attach that to the top of the calendar. And I didn't bother to glue the 22 and the 26 because I knew my crying panda was going to be covering those two numbers. And I decided I didn't initially want this laying down panda, but I thought that he would be cute to add to the left of the calendar. So I'm going to give him a party hat and then use my art glitter glue to attach him. And then I'm going to flip the calendar over and then add foam tape behind everything and pop it up onto my 110-pound white Nina card base. And then I decided to also add the star balloon right next to my crying panda using my art glitter glue. And that will basically complete this card. I am going to take that same Zig fine liner and draw little X's on the corners of my calendar numbers just to make it look like I bypassed his birthday and realized I forgot it on the 25th. It kind of just went with the I'm sorry I forgot your birthday sentiment. So I am going to stamp that on the inside since I didn't have any room on the outside. And so yeah, that will complete card number 7. I think it turned out really cute. Here's a close-up. For card 8, I'm going to create a birthday card without the pandas this time. So I'm just going to use the balloons that came in the stamp set. I'm going to take each of those and ink them up with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I'll just randomly stamp them around this panel that I created out of some 110-pound white Neenah cardstock. I did cut this down to 4 by 5¼ inches. And then I'm just taking all those balloons and just randomly stamping them around this panel. I am stamping a few of them off the panel just so that it looks more random and looks more like a pattern paper. And you can see I have a large die cut balloon over off to the left, and I'm using that as a guide to help me know where to stamp my balloons. I knew I was going to use that die cut in that area, and I didn't want any of those balloons to be stamped where I knew my twine was going to be for that larger balloon. And this balloon die cut is by Lawn Fawn. So now I'm just going to finish up my stamping. And instead of coloring them with my Copics, I thought it would be fun to paper piece these balloons. So I'm going to take those same stamps and stamp them onto some of the scrapped paper that I had left over. I did decide to stamp them in rainbow colors. I chose more of the subtle patterns because I knew that this panel was going to be very busy. I did stamp a few of the balloons with that white polka dot paper, but later on I will color those in yellow with my Copic marker. And then off camera, I just fussy cut all of these little balloons. I did go over each of them with a black marker so that it kind of cleaned up my edges. And now I'm going to die cut that Lawn Fawn balloon from some of the plaid paper that came in the kit. And then I'm going to take my VersaFine Onyx Black ink again and ink up my birthday sentiment and stamp that right in the center of my balloon. And then I'm going to start adhering my balloons. I decided to pop up my die cut balloon. And then I will adhere the rest of my fussy cut balloons with my art glitter glue. And I tried not to put two oranges next to each other. I tried to evenly space the colors out. And I still found, even after fussy cutting these, it was still faster to do this instead of coloring them. So I'm pretty happy with how these balloons turned out. I will just trim off the excess, and then I'll work on the string for this large die cut balloon. I wanted to use some black and white baker's twine, so I'm using my art glitter glue to attach this twine. I did sort of like a squiggle, so it wasn't just a straight line. And I'll also use that same baker's twine to create a little bow. And here I'm using that laying down panda. It was my favorite panda. I loved him. And I thought that he would be really cute on top of that die cut balloon, but I tried to keep this card simple and to show you that you didn't have to use the pandas to create a really cute birthday card. So I did decide to leave him off. And it was at this point I felt that there was too much white space. So I'm taking the confetti stamp that came in the stamp set. I'm going to ink it up with Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I knew I was going to color in those confettis with my Copic markers. So I probably went a little overboard with this stamp, but I still in the end like this card. It's not my favorite, but I still do like it. I'm also going to take one of those starbursts that came in the stamp set to fill in some more of the empty white space. And then I'm just taking pretty much my Copic markers that match the pattern paper balloons, and I'm just using one marker to color all the confetti in. And then after that, my panel will be completely finished. It was at this point that I felt the white polka dot balloons were not standing out, so I will use my Y13 marker to color those in. But first I'm going to attach my panel onto my card base. I'm going to use the pink cardstock that came in the kit. And now I'm going to take that Y13 marker and color those white balloons. And I think if you added glossy accents over these balloons, that would be really cute, but I left it as is. And that will complete card number 8. For card 9, I'm going to do some die cutting. I wanted to create another shaker card, so I'm going to take this memory box polka dot bow die set I had in my stash, and I'm going to die cut this larger bow twice from some blue glitter cardstock. And I'm also going to die cut a black frame from 2 of my stitch square dies I had in my stash. And I think that's all the die cutting I do for this card. So now I'm going to assemble my bow. I'm going to layer some silver glitter cardstock behind my blue glittery bow. And if I were to do this again, I think I would die cut regular cardstock because I found the glitter cardstock was very difficult to adhere with my art glitter glue. And I'm actually going to layer another blue bow behind this one, and that is because I knew I was going to fold it and you would partially see the back of the bow, and I wanted it to match. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim off the excess silver paper and then fold in the tails of the bow towards the center. Right now I'm using my art glitter glue, but later on I will switch to my 3-in-1 because that is a much stronger glue. I am using a clip to help the glue dry. And now I'm going to work on the shaker. So I'm taking that square frame I cut out earlier. I'm going to add some acetate behind it. And it was at this point I realized my bow was not going to be attached with the art glitter glue, so now I'm using my 3-in-1. And I wanted this shaker piece to look like a birthday present, so I'm going to take that same blue glittery cardstock. I think this is a 1/4-inch strip, and I'm going to add a strip horizontally and vertically to make it look kind of like a ribbon wrapped around a present. And then my die cut bow will actually go in the center. So now I'm going to add some silver glitter cardstock behind the ribbon of my bow. And again, I would use art glitter glue. It's a much stronger glue and it's better for attaching glitter paper. I'll just use my scissors to trim off the excess silver glitter cardstock. And then I'm going to attach the ribbon onto my present. And my bow still is not completely dry yet, so I'm going to put the clip back on it and set it to the side. And now I'm going to work on the inside of the shaker. I chose some white and clear sequins. I decided to stick with white and clear because I knew that this card was going to be very busy with the pattern paper and the glitter cardstock, so I kept it pretty simple. I'm also going to add some clear iridescent confetti that I had in my stash, and that will be the inside of my shaker. So I'm going to peel off the backing of my 3M foam tape. I did layer 2 layers of the 3M so that my sequins can move around a bunch. And here I'm going to slow the video down so you can see how that turned out. I really love how the clear sequins look with that pattern paper. All right, so now my bow is finally completely dry, so I'm going to add a lot of 3-in-1 behind it and attach it to the center of my present. And now I can finally assemble my card, so I'm going to, of course, use that laying down panda, and I want him to be sitting right on top of the present. I did give him another party hat, and then I wanted that sitting down panda to be off to the right of the present. And now I'm going to work on the sentiment. I chose happy birthday. You're allowed to cause as much pandemonium as you like. I thought that this sentiment was perfect for a shaker card. And I'm just going to white heat emboss it onto a black die cut banner as usual. And I will attach the banner behind my sitting panda. And then I'm going to attach the banner and the panda with the art glitter glue on top of my shaker. And wherever it's off the shaker, I will add some foam tape behind the panda and the sentiment. And also that panda on the top. So here I'm just attaching some foam tape behind the little panda's head. And here I'm just going to attach some on the sentiment and onto the other panda. And then for the center of the shaker, I'll just add some ATG tape and some art glitter glue. And then I can attach everything onto this pink panel that I cut to 4 by 5¼ inches. This is one of my favorite cards. I think it turned out really cute. I love the shaker. So now I'm going to attach ATG tape to my card base and then adhere my pink panel onto it. And that will complete card number 9. Here is a close-up. Okay, for my final card, I wanted to use the panda die that came in the kit again. So I'm going to die cut 2 of the pandas from the flocked paper that came in the kit. And I'm also going to take a few dies from my stash. I'm going to die cut a top hat and a bow tie from this Elizabeth Craft die set I had in my stash from some black cardstock. I also die cut a few flowers from another Elizabeth Craft die I had in my stash. I also die cut a polka dot stitched rectangle and a silver mirrored cardstock stitched scalloped rectangle. Wow, that was a lot. So now I'm going to add the top hat and a bow tie to one of my pandas, and for the other panda I'm going to give her a flower crown. So I'm going to be creating some wedding pandas, and I think pandas are the absolute most perfect animal to create wedding cards with because they're black and white. They go with the color scheme of weddings. So I thought this would be adorable and something different that you could use with these little panda dies. So I'm just layering a bunch of flowers on top of this panda's head. I did just add the art glitter glue onto her head and then just added the flowers on top. And I wanted to give her a little bouquet to hold. So I'm going to use those same flowers. I did die cut the flowers from some glitter cardstock as well as some white cardstock. And I think that those look adorable. You could give them little witch hats for Halloween, obviously birthday hats. I think they could work for a lot of different occasions and holidays. So now I'm taking some silver perfect, no, they're not perfect pearls. They're like Nuvo drops before Nuvo drops were a thing. They're, I think, from Ranger. But they're basically Nuvo drops in silver. So I'm just adding that to the centers of all of my flowers. And now I'm going to layer that polka dot paper on top of that silver mirrored stitched rectangle scalloped die cut. And then I'm going to work on my sentiment. I'm going to stamp out "Congratulations, you tied the knot." On the video I show that I stamped it onto a white banner with black ink, but I actually off camera decided to do a black banner with white heat embossing. I just felt that looked better since I did use a white card base. I thought the black offset the paper a little bit. But the white is also pretty. I mean, whatever you guys prefer. So I did want to use the white card base, and this is when I decided to just stamp that sentiment onto a black banner instead. I'm going to pop up my 2 pandas. I wanted them to be holding hands. And I did kind of tilt them at an angle just to add some interest. I am adding them with foam tape. And I really love the flocked paper that came in the kit. I think that was a nice addition. And my sister-in-law is actually getting married in October, so I'll probably be giving this to her and her husband. So I did decide to pop up the polka dot rectangle onto the scalloped rectangle, and now I'm going to attach the scalloped rectangle onto my card base with art glitter glue because I did not want to ruin those Nuvo drops I put on the flowers. So now I'm going to attach my sentiment. I added art glitter glue to the top where it overlaps the popped up rectangle, and then foam tape on the bottom where it attaches to the card base. And that will complete card number 10. I think this was so cute, and this is probably my favorite card. I just love those little pandas. Alright, so now I'm going to show you all 10 cards that I created in part 1 and part 2 using the August 2019 Simon Says Stamp Card Kit. I had a lot of fun working with this kit. This is probably my favorite kit that they've come out with so far. Let me know which card was your favorite. I honestly liked how all of them turned out, but I am curious to know which one is your favorite. I will have a coordinating blog post for both of my videos. If you want to check those out, I will link them down below in my video description. I will also have links to the extra supplies that I used in today's videos. Unfortunately, the card kit is sold out, but the stamp set and the die is still available on the Simon website, and I will be sure to link those down below in case you're interested. So thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you haven't yet already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I post my next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.